Hi, my dear listeners. It's Dr. Christine Lee again. Thank you for being here with us today. I am joined by my amazing friend, colleague, co podcaster, host in the universe, co entrepreneur. Her name is Wendy Batten, and I can't wait for you to get to know this beautiful woman. Wendy, thank you for being here. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. That was such a lovely introduction. It's my
Well, it's
pleasure
it
to be here. Yes,
It
thank
fits
you.
the woman. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited about this conversation. We've been planning it for a while, but we've also left the topics kind of open ended because I know we have a lot of things in common. And I know Wendy has so much to share in terms of just wisdom from a coach. She's a business coach, a business mentor. So, why don't we start with that? Can you describe to our audience what you like to do professionally?
Well, at this time, professionally, thank you. Business is always evolving, but I am a retail coach and mentor, which sounds so fancy, but really I help the little guys grow their businesses because I was one and didn't have a coach or the right information available to me. So I work with brick and mortar mostly, the little guys, helping them grow their business and put their CEO hat on and expand. But I work with a lot of specialty retailers. That's probably my biggest gig. But I also run a creative lifestyle blog, which I don't even know if you know that so much, Christine, but I
No,
run
I
that as
didn't.
well too. And that's amped up as well too. We revamped. That's where I sort of started. And I work with a lot of different people, helping them do different things as a trusted business advisor. That's where I am.
Okay, beautiful. So when you say little, what do you mean by that? Is there some sort of requirement or some sort of vibe that they have in their business that makes them connect with you?
I'm not sure about, I hate using the little guys, but I guess I'm a champion for the self-employed. Their board of directors are usually sitting at their kitchen table. It's not like, and they've been doing all the things and wearing all the hats, and they had a beautiful dream and creative idea and open beautiful businesses. This is my heart space, I guess, and realize that there's a lot of stuff involved in running a business, and not just the front of house, let's say, the inventory and the management. I can merchandise it and I can sell it and I'm really good with customer service, but there's the no person in the back room, that the CEO that needs to be consulted, the numbers, the marketing around it, all of those hard unsexy things that we don't always want to do, and or that we don't maybe know are necessary. So the little guy, when I say the little guy, it's usually independent, brick and mortar, who have passion and heart centered for what they do. So
Okay. Can you give us an example, multiple examples, please, of the different kind of brick and mortar companies that you coach?
So a lot of the clients that I have are they were creatives at first. I worked with a lot of art galleries. I was a creative. I owned a paint studio, painting furniture and teaching paint workshops. I work with a lot of ceramic studio owners. I work with a lot of booksellers and chocolatiers. And I have a client who has a guitar shop, like just passion filled, heart centered. But gift shop and boutique and clothing and jewelry is also, passion filled as well. Probably not working as much with the people who are just selling the widgets. Again, just moving product in and out, moving it in and out. I work with clients who have tiny little boutiques, tiny little footprints, but also who have multiple stores. I work with clients who have multiple stores, antique dealers or consignment shops, and it's just so fun. But what they all have in common is they want to serve their clients. They want to serve well. They want to build teams. They want to have staff and teams, that are on board with the mission, or really really are in alignment, I guess, with what they do. And I think there's a whole missing conversation. I don't know if that's the right word, but and again, the little guys, the main street, and I hate saying mom and pop shops. That's not, I don't know. It's, sometimes it's mom and mom shop. I don't know, but it's the little guys. That's who the little guys are. And they're the backbone of our economy. And I believe that to my core. That whole shop local, it means a lot. They're they're doing the work and they're working hard and they're keeping the money in your communities. So I'm their cheerleader and champion and supporter. That's what I do. Yeah.
I love it. I'm so glad I asked because the chocolatier and the gift shop that the those people have my heart as well. Could you describe your own backstory and how this became your your current situation and the link between your own experience as an independent entrepreneur and how you got to be at this point guiding other people in that process?
Sometimes I find that question hard. Like there's no direct line, and I say that find it hard. What I mean is I kind of like laugh, and your viewers can't see, but I'm smiling because I think all of the combination of the things that we've done in our past bring us to where we are now. I believe that wholeheartedly. There's no, I didn't go to school to become a retail coach and this is what I'm doing. That's not my path. I was way back in the day, I was brought up by my dad was a retail guru. So it's really funny. He was like, so I've always had that customer experience. He was really big into innovation, retail marketing, but I had no design on that whatsoever. My husband and I have owned a service-based industry for many years, 27 years. We owned a business. It was a cleaning business. So we were self-employed for a long time. I opened my first business when my kids were small, my own, I guess I could say like my first, woman-owned business run all by myself as a coffee shop. I opened a coffee shop many years ago and then sold that to a client so that I could go help my husband because his business was growing. And what I was doing was payroll and invoicing and all that unsexy stuff that's necessary. But as we grew his business and as I grew my family, I had kids then, they were young and things were chucking along. But what happened was my daughter told me one day that I needed a hobby other than her. So the funny, and she was right. She was totally right. I think she was about 15 or 16. So I was painting furniture and DIYing my house. That was my creative outlet and, nesting, I guess. I loved it. And I started blogging about that. And my first business was called Front Porch Mercantile, which is kind of funny because it was called Front Porch Mercantile because I was selling painted furniture off my big front porch. We had a big, beautiful home, big front porch. And I was blogging about life and DIYing and the fat story thin, as I like to say, is that little painting hobby took me to blogging conferences where I met brands that sold paint, and we didn't have the brands where I lived. So, some of the main players in the painted furniture industry, this is back in the day when people were just getting into painted furniture, by the way, convinced me you should sell our paint. So I'm like, all right. I know nothing about retail, but I have an entrepreneurial mind. And again, it's a long story, but I ended up opening my studio and teaching people to paint and selling paint, not knowing what I was doing, didn't know what I was doing. And it was really popular. It was really fun. And it was a lot of work. And I just didn't know what I didn't know about retail on that end, even though I had my coffee shop, even though I'd had my other business. And it was a lot of work and I was so popular and it was so good. And then the brands started asking me to work for them because I was doing really well selling paint and teaching and all of the things. And it was wonderful success on the front side. But the back end of me was tired and stressed out and missing very important things with my kids. And mom's hobby that my daughter recommended I get was out of control. It was so nutso. So I started piecemealing coaches together to help me, what the heck is a strategic plan? People kept saying to me, you need a marketing plan. You need a strategic plan. You need to take time off. Well, great. But, and again, fast forwarding through that, I did turn my business around as in time management and understanding what I needed to do to make it work, hiring more people and making it a success. And the brands all noticed and my friends all started noticing. And my painting friend people. And people were just, like, teach me. And so I started working for a lot of people doing a lot of things, and it started getting out of hand again. So I started, and I think that's when I met you, Christine, is when I was dabbling in how can I serve multiple people? How can I help people on that side of my business and help them in a, not just one to one and here and there and piecemealing, and how can I make this part of my business model? And I loved it so much. I felt like that was the piece that the painting and the teaching painting, I was teaching painting classes at the time as well. I love that side of my business so much. I'm kind of a people person. And I feel like all of that led me to actually be the teacher that I am now, or the coach or mentor. I'm still not sure. I don't know what to call myself, but I like to help people. And I ended up franchising my business, selling it to my best friend. She took over the running of the day-to-day of the retail business. And I sold everything I owned, ran away from home, and now I'm a full-time coach. How's that? That's how I ended up getting here. But I love it. That all happened over, a little while, but full-time coaching, and absolutely loving it since 2017 now.
Beautiful. Thank you for telling me the whole story and sharing it with our audience. And I kept thinking as I was listening to your story that the things that roll off your tongue as well, and that happened, and then that happened, all involved you taking a risk
Mm-hmm.
of some kind, whether it was a risk with your time, a risk with your time, your
Yeah.
energy, your business, your existing business, and even just your energetic space. Can you talk about your own relationship and your own philosophies about how to take risk, how to assess what is a good risk to take, how to not be afraid of risk?
Risk is hard. It's hard to quantify. I don't have a philosophy around it other than, and I say that because that sounds like everything happens with a plan. Nothing happened to me or for me by planning. But it doesn't it doesn't happen by accident. I guess there's a yin and a yang there as far as um, dreaming. I'm a dreamer, and I'm a dreamer, and I'm like, well, what could that look like? What could that look like? And I ask myself that question a lot. My husband and I have done that for years. Um, I feel like you get to an edge that's uncomfortable. I knew my retail store was really busy. Like at one point, well, even backing up and opening the retail store, it was kind of all done not with a plan. It was like, well, what could that look like? Well, my friend had a space, and it was like a low risk. I'm not a big risk taker despite doing all of this stuff. I'm not. There's things I won't risk. I won't risk my family's financial security. I'm invested stuff that I was willing to, like, to take a loss on, just like the stock market. I guess I'm the stock market of risk takers, I guess, but in energy. What does that look like for my family is a big thing. I ask myself, what does that look like for my family? And standing on that edge and looking around and saying, is this worth the jump? Is this worth taking the next step? And, that's what I think you have to ask yourself. And you have to, I call it the funnel. I put it through my funnel, what does that look like? And I guess that's really not a great philosophy and vision. And I wish I had some really great answer for you on how you do it. But I think the thing you have to do is do it scared. Nothing I have done has been easy. It's not an easy path. And the benefits, aren't always obvious, you know? And I think we go through this life one time. And if you're not that I was unhappy at any stage. Again, we had a big, beautiful home. I was mentioning the big front porch, and we had 2 acres, and we had this lovely life and all of these things at one point in time. And we decided to sell it all, run away and live in our we have this crooked little cottage that's got mice running up the walls. And it's like, but it gave us joy to be here. It's by the ocean. And, so we don't always follow the rules of what everybody else thinks we should do. And I think that's something that people should ask themselves. And that's something we ask ourselves a lot. Like, are we doing this because this is what maybe society or our family or people or our coaches or whatever said that we should do, or what do we want to do? And every time we would leave this little crazy little crooked cottage we live in, and it's still crazy and it's still crooked, although we have the mice under control. We, why are we doing, like, why are we thinking we can't do it? And and why not us? Why not us? Why can't we do this? And we've traveled the world, and it's not something, we're not like big fancy people, just FYI, but we've had opportunities come up because we're open to them. We've had I've been invited to teach in Italy and France, and we've been to New Zealand, and it's incredible what opens up when you put yourself out there. Did I cry a lot? Uh-huh. So, I regularly tell people, like, we actually sold our, and I say it was our dream home, like where we lived before was we thought was our forever home. And then I don't know, we just, we started changing and evolving. And then I realized, like, I can coach from this little crooked cottage. And my husband had his big business. And I'm like, you know what? Your staff could run this, and we could do this. And he's like, what? Like, that's crazy pants. We can't do that. But the day before our house was supposed to sell, or we had to, like, whatever, there's a line in the sand of the house agreement. We almost backed out. We were like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? So yeah, we were, it's not like, oh, this will be easy peasy. And I don't think anything that's worth joy, and anything that's worth your passion, and anything that's worth um, lighting you up, again, we go through this life, once, is worth taking a little risk. So we do it scared. I guess my philosophy is just do it scared, but ask yourself the question, what could that look like? And it's fun.
I knew you had a philosophy.
Well, I
that
don't
that
know. Is
was
that a philosophy or just a crazy pants thing that we do?
no, no,
Yeah.
no. I think that's a beautiful philosophy. And my takeaway, one of the takeaways that I have is that your vision has to be front and center, and you need to be revisiting the vision
Yes.
periodically, maybe frequently, to keep yourself in balance, because there are tears and there are risks and there are doubters, and sometimes the doubters are within you or your partner. But that I also agree that the rewards can be so beautiful and not anticipatable. We can't really know how the new thing is going to look, feel, operate, sound, or fly with our audience, our customers, anyone. But we know somewhere inside of ourselves that we are okay with inviting change in again. So this may be just something that we all do, right? And entrepreneurs just make it a career of doing the risk and the reward, the risk and the reward. And it is not an easy thing. And it's great to have a coach like Wendy on your side, someone who has done so many different things, has thought through the process, and also has that entrepreneurial genetic material, knows how to run a business as well. Could you talk about how you work with clients, and what are your typical go-to strategies, if you have some? I know in watching you on Instagram and social media that you are big on consistently connecting with your goals and your, what's happening. So kind of revisiting, what does the CEO need to do? Can you describe that and some other things?
I do a lot of things with a lot of people in that. Um, that's I'm like, I don't know, what does it look like? I don't. Sometimes I wonder, but I do believe. So first of all, I like goals, but not goals that can't be moved. I think goalposts can move. I mean, if the last couple of years have not taught us anything, I do feel like you can't wing it. That's a thing that I tell people. If we, an action forward, even if it's a little tiny baby step, even if it's just like Googling one little thing that you've been wondering about, or who or what, is an action towards something for you. And I'm a big believer in that. And I know, like, you and I have talked about that before. Um, and having the confidence, I think, is what I like to teach people to step into their role of CEO. And by that, I guess, let me back up. And when I say being the CEO of your business, it's taking um, ownership of all of the parts of your business. I think maybe that, and that includes your self-care that we don't talk about. That includes looking at your numbers that you don't want to look at. That includes showing up even on the days you don't want, all of that. It's all of the things. Understanding that you're the biggest asset in your business if you're self-employed, and that's a big one for us. Understanding to get help, because there is nobody I have yet, and I would love for any of your listeners to send me an email and tell me if they know of any successful business that doesn't have help. Like, everybody has help, but yet we tight fist our, you know, our need to ask for help. So I help people. I feel my biggest strength, my superpower, if you will, is helping people understand, the big picture maybe, and how they could evolve uh, um, the forest for the trees. Like, when we're in it, we can't always see it. So I love helping people see the bigger picture. So yes, I teach, in my groups, I teach strategy, marketing strategy. But even that, I am a big believer that there's no formula for Christine's success and Wendy's success and, Susie's success. Here's the checklist. Do these 18 things and you will be, successful at whatever it is. That doesn't happen. There are things that are common and things that maybe, and we all have strengths and weaknesses. Like, I might be, it doesn't bother me at all to turn the camera on and jump on Facebook Live and talk to my people. But I have clients who that's just, hard for them. Maybe looking at your numbers is hard. So everybody has things, right? We all have things. And there are things, for foundational things, and this, and it's the same for any business. And having the confidence to step in to ask for help, having the confidence to be a boss, that's a big thing for a lot of people. I help people through that as well too. So just stepping into your role of CEO and understanding that part of that CEO role, and it doesn't mean the C-suite. I'm not talking stuffy, go get 10 Teslas and, go to the moon or whatever. And if that's what you want to do, that's cool too, because again, crazy pant ideas, like, fine. But having somebody to help you, reframe that, that's what I like to do with my clients, and understand how to get to whatever that goal is. That's my superpower. And I work with clients in group sessions, and, I work with them in one-to-one, and it's fun. Yeah.
Beautiful. I thought in the middle there when you were saying, every successful company or
Mm-hmm.
um, company has help. And I thought recently I read somewhere that whole statement, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Um, that's been transformed over the years to mean like just help yourself over the hurdle. But the original phrase was meant to say like this is impossible because you can't actually lift yourself up by your bootstraps apparently. So I just thought I would share that piece, that I'm going to back up what Wendy said, that really there is help around you, whether it's in your business or in your personal life or in your relational life. And there are times when we will be so much better served when we have help, when we know that there's help, when we know we can access the help. So I just wanted to double emphasize
And
that. Thank you.
yeah, the help doesn't, so I feel like people get tied up in where to get help and how to get help. And, my original help came from, okay, this was pre-podcast because podcasts might have been around, but nobody was listening to them. But, my podcast, my help to step into my CEO role, or into my power, if you will, like to feeling confident about being a business owner, came from reading a magazine that actually, it's, in a roundabout way, I've now been featured in, which I'm like amazed at. But that's another story. But I started following blogs, and I started following business mentors. Business books are out there, podcasts are out there now. Identify, no one's meant to do this alone. And also, to your point, sometimes it means asking for help from the people at your kitchen table again. Like, I didn't for a long time. And then finally I just like started crying one day. And, this is way back in the day. And I said to my husband, I just need some help. I was trying to juggle all the balls as I was stepping into new roles. And he's like, oh, I didn't know you needed help. And to me, it was like, obviously, I need you to pick up the dishes or the kids or whatever the thing was. But sometimes we just need to clarify that. I know you speak to that a lot. Ask for the help you need from the people around you. Like, from, and I coach clients all the time to do that. And they go, oh, yeah, I can ask for help. Right. So, and of course, there are business mentors and coaches and courses and, but identify what you need. There's lots of help around, free and otherwise. Yeah.
Yes. One last question is, how has your thoughtfulness about business and business processes and your own journey affected you in terms of your personal life and how you live?
Oh, that is such a good question. What a great question. Thank you for asking that.
Thank you.
So we try to design our business life around what we want from our personal life first. And that's not always easy. Um, but how we want to live. So, and I guess how that's affected that is how many hours a week do I want to work, and where do I want to work. So I am now working from this crazy little cottage, and I talk to people all over the world, and I'm currently, as you and I are speaking, watching boats bob out in front of my house. So that's how my lifestyle has changed, because I'm still doing what I love. I've been able to create a beautiful business and impact. I feel like I do a lot of impact. I feel like I'm doing good things in the world. And I still have this boundary around my what I want from life. I'm trying to take vacation. I make sure I take vacations. This is what I teach my clients. This is what successful CEOs, they take care of their heart and their health. I feel like there's several things in our life that we need to make sure we're managing. We all know this, but it's your health and your mindset, your environment, your relationships. We all know all these wedges that are really important. And if any of them are drained, or any of them aren't filled, I call it, it's the wheel of life. The wheel of life exercise is something that my husband and I do regularly. He works full time for me now. I say with me, but for me. Honestly, like, we've let his other business go. This is our full-time gig now. We do the creative blog, and he's a photographer. So he has, and so we actually try to plan getaways regularly. We actually do strategic planning, which sounds really fancy, but really we try to go away and we go through this checkup, this literal checkup, this check-in, and we check in on all of those areas. So is Wendy like working too many hours and not getting out walking or going to the gym and not taking care of herself? Oh, we have to recheck that. So I really do try to practice what I teach and check in with myself. But it's, we all have our I always say, the pie wedges that are like getting drained. There's all areas that get drained, right? There are seasons of hustle. I don't like that word, but there are seasons when it's busier. And there are seasons when, I want to spend more time away from work, and it's okay. We have to give ourselves permission to make sure that we're living a big, bold life, right? So we have, as I said at the beginning, we have one go at this, life. We're not spring chickens either. So, my husband turned 60 this year. I'm 55 years old. And, life is, there's lots of fun things ahead. So why are we living in dreary parts? So we're trying to run a lifestyle business, which gets a bum rap sometimes, that word. But I think it's important for us all of us that are entrepreneurs or self-employed or other, not to let work be too much. So that's my thoughts on all of that, which I know is a lot. So I like to ramble about that, but there you go.
No, I love how you guys cooperate, how you share your time, how you share your dreams. You're very open about this on social media and in life. And I think it's working. I think it's such a beautiful journey that you are on. And thank you for the encouragement to me and to my audience about living it big, whatever it is, to just really say, okay, what could be? What could I be doing next? How could I be feeling next? It's a wonderful model to live by and with. And there's so many other things I know that we can talk about. I want to not miss out on your podcast. Can you talk about your podcast and how people can find that? And also, we have a download that people can come away from this episode with as well. So let's do both.
Okay, so thank you for that opportunity. So I have the Creative Shop Talk podcast, and we talk a lot of shop talk on the Shop Talk podcast, and a lot about becoming and stepping into the CEO life as self-employed entrepreneurs, I guess. And the download that I can give your clients, I actually have two. And we didn't talk about this before, so here I'm throwing this at you, but the conversation went that way. So I have a top 10 things to consider to be a CEO and I sometimes say like from a hobby mindset to stepping into the CEO, but that's not to take away from, like, that's okay to have a hobby mindset meaning like a creative, awesome, mindset. But how to the 10 things that you really have to pay attention to step into that role in a good way as a CEO. So I'll have a list. I have a document that we'll share with your listeners, and I also have another document. I will share the way we do our wheel of life, the way we do our date nights. Now I call them date nights, but they're not date nights. But like the way we do, like the document. If anybody's, we can throw that link up there as well too, if you'd like, and how we. How we do that circle, how we do our check-in, I guess, on all of the parts of our life. It's just a checklist. So I'll share that with you as well too.
Sounds great. And I'm going to give our listeners the link to go to get those downloads. I think we can figure that out on the back end. It is maketimeforsuccesspodcast.com/Wendy. Again, it's maketimeforsuccesspodcast.com/Wendy. Wendy, thank you so much for being so generous with your time and your insights and reflections. You're amazing. This is what I wanted to add. On Instagram, you will oftentimes see Wendy with a paintbrush. I think Wendy is someone who just like has painting in her bones. I've always thought that. I don't know. I haven't seen that in a while, but I've always enjoyed that, she'll look at a piece of furniture and she'll see the new life that is possible for the furniture too. So there really is the creative element of Wendy too when you get to know her. So thank you, Wendy, for sharing all of this with us today.
My pleasure. It's such a pleasure to be here. I love your podcast, and I'm very honored that you asked me to be on and join you, because I'm just a big fan of yours as well. So back at you. So
thank you, Wendy. Thank you. And so to our listeners, here's to your success. Here's to your big vision. Go out and live that life. Thank you, Wendy, again. We will see you all next week on Thursday when the new podcast episode drops. If you like this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, Make Time for Success. I would so appreciate that. It helps to spread the word about the show. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.